Here I am at Les Cormettes Nature Reserve, soaking up the midday sun that's tiptoeing through the swathes of leafy green. And wow, the network of hiking trails that vein their way through the nature reserve are absolutely stunning. There's a serenity to the air here, almost palpable, unlike the city's hustle and bustle. And I must say, the calls of distant birds, echoing through the swaying trees, add an unbeatable soundtrack to this natural wonder. Could anything top the feeling of hiking in a setting like this? This place really triggers that sense of adventure, that unspoken thrill that comes when you go off the beaten path. The way the paths curve and twist, you never know what you're going to see around the next bend. It's quite exhilarating, isn't it? The opportunity to participate in this physical activity, surrounded by so much beauty, it's just refreshing. However, what gets to me most in this place is its tranquility. There isn't that pressure to be anything, to do anything. I can just be myself, on my own terms and in my own time. There's a beauty in that, I think, where the only thing that feels necessary is to just exist amongst it all, to take in the views, the sounds, and the scents. Stepping into the Fragonard perfume factory left me spellbound. The sight, the smell, the sheer beauty of it all was something no photograph could capture. The air was rich with the scent of roses and jasmine, and I could see workers carefully measuring and mixing these raw materials with exceptional precision. It was almost like watching a ballet performance. Never did I imagine that the creation of these tiny bottles of enchanting scents involved such precise science and careful craftsmanship. Walking down the cobblestone streets of the old town, I can't help but marvel at the stunning stonework of the buildings here. It's like stepping back in time, a remnant of the medieval period preserved so perfectly. The attention to detail in the architecture takes my breath away. You can see the 1,000 years of history in every stone and every arch. It makes you wonder about the stories these stone walls could tell if they could speak. As I made my way through the winding lanes of Villers-Antibes, the sweet notes of a violin echoed through the air. Drawn to the melody, I find a crowd gathered around a street performer. His impromptu concert under the dim glow of the antique street lamps was mesmerizing, creating a beautiful symphony that complemented the town's historic tranquility. The sun begins to set, casting a warm golden light onto the quaint stone buildings, turning them from an afternoon-like cream color into amber. The way the city glows is surreal. It feels as though the setting sun is tying up the day in a neat bow, transforming the city into an artist's living canvas. As calmness descends with twilight, the experience of fading daylight in Villers-Antibes stirs a delightful sense of belonging within. Deep breath in, the smell of pine and ocean mixing in the air. It's invigorating. The trail ahead looks challenging, but there's a spark of excitement in my heart. My fingertips lightly trace the rugged terrain of the map. I've always found maps fascinating, laying out a world to be explored, and this one promises hidden treasures tucked away in the jagged folds of nature's masterpiece. With each step upwards, my breath grows heavier, but so does my anticipation. A part of me wonders if I'll be able to finish, but pushing back the slight trepidation, I focus on the next foothold, the next handhold. Finally, when I reach the crest, my breath is stolen away. But this time, not from exertion. The panoramic view of the Côte d'Azur, met with pristine white cliffs, is absolutely breathtaking. It's moments like these that make these hikes worth it, a sense of accomplishment mixed with awe. Walking along the harbor, I'm really struck by how serene everything feels here. The pastel-colored facades of the homes, somehow perfectly harmonizing with the clear blue of the sea. It's a salve for city-weary eyes. But it's not just the colors. It's the architecture, too. Like they've been shaped by wind rather than human hands, with rounded edges like pebbles polished by the sea. It's a delicious blend of uniqueness and simplicity. Chatting with a few locals in my broken French and a smattering of English, I found a pleasant vibe. There's a simplicity and authenticity about them, a distance from the kind of pretense you'd find in showier, more tourist-oriented places. Their laughter rings genuine, their stories are real, not rehearsed for foreign ears. The slow, unhurried life seems to be not a compromise, but a choice here. Leaving the cafe, I found myself on a path flanked by vineyards, under a sky that wore the afternoon sun like a halo. As I walked, I couldn't help appreciating the almost rhythmic pattern of shadows under the grapevines, adding a depth of character to the landscape. An old wooden windmill stood sentinel in the fields, looking as if it held a century's worth of stories behind its weather-beaten walls. Wandering around the cold stone corridors of Chateau d'If, it's hard not to be taken back by the sheer magnificence of this medieval fortress, each stone layered meticulously, leaving me in awe of the architectural prowess of a time long past. The damp atmosphere and the sound of my heels clicking against the stone floor, amplified within the walls, created an eerie symphony that's oddly soothing. I couldn't help but get lost in imagining the history that unfolded here. Stepping out onto the ramparts, a spectacular view of the Mediterranean Sea stretched out before my eyes. The serene azure waters under the slowly setting sun painted the horizon in hues of oranges and purples. It was breathtaking. Deep down, I wished I had my paintbrushes and canvas with me right now to capture this. Here I am, right in the center of Musée Marc Chagall, surrounded by these vivid, eccentric pieces of art. He has deconstructed conventional perspectives and figures and reassembled them in this abstract but perfectly logical framework. They say the best way to understand something is to reconstruct it in your mind, like a puzzle, arranging and rearranging to see it from different angles. These artistic perspectives that are so different from what I know, they kind of remind me of how I approach problems in designing systems. Just like Chagall breaks down and rebuilds figures, I break and construct systems, looking for the most efficient structure. It's amazing how art and engineering, though fields apart, interconnect beautifully sometime. And you know what? I think this is how we learn, grow, and evolve as unique individuals. We watch, we notice, we absorb from the world around us, and able to make sense of them in our own way. It's fascinating, isn't it? How a trip to an art museum can stir up such reflections. Sorry, I sort of lost myself in thought for a moment there. The hustle-bustle of the crews preparing for their day was catching everyone's attention. All of them hustling around, cleaning, checking and rechecking their ropes, polishing the rails, and working like a well-oiled machine. I struck up a brief conversation with a friendly member of a yacht crew who was taking a break. He shared some behind-the-scenes details of the amount of work that goes into maintaining these luxurious boats. While observing the entire scenery, a feeling of tranquility enveloped me. I took a small pause, allowing myself to sink in the calmness, slowly sipping the warmth of my morning coffee. The smooth harmony between the soothing sea waves and the energetic crews was like a symphony to my ears. As I gazed upon the open sea, it reminded me of the numerous family trips to our farm. Although the context was starkly different, the underlying sentiment of tranquility seemed eerily similar. I chuckled to myself, thinking how a harbor in southern France could make me nostalgic about a farm in Boston. Walking through the charming narrow streets of Gasson Village, it's like stepping back in time. Stone-built houses, donned with colorful shuttered windows and hanging baskets full of vibrant flowers, give the village an otherworldly charm. There's an undeniable sense of tranquility here, in contrast to the bustling tourist hotspots. Just my kind of place. After lunch, I take a leisure path uphill, leading to the village's panoramic gardens. The sight that greets me is nothing short of magical. Beautiful flower beds alongside neatly trimmed hedges overlooking a spectacular view of the countryside below. As I sit down on a bench to take in the serene beauty, I notice the whispers of the wind and the distant chirping of the birds. It's nature's beautiful symphony at play. Lying sprawled out on the grass, basked in the afternoon sun, I feel the peacefulness of the village seeping into me. Life feels unhurried here, like it's giving you a chance to breathe and appreciate the smaller things. I close my eyes and relish the warmth, the scent of blooming flowers, and the distant hum of conversation. This moment feels akin to finding a rare treasure, and I realize sometimes it's these unexpected detours that make our journey truly unforgettable.